What up? Win Daily Week 9. We got Dave. Dave, where are you at today? It looks like
I'm actually down the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
I can't beat it. The weather's great, which is a sign of things to come today, Stix. The weather's great everywhere. Only a few games that we may actually have to account for a little wind, but it's beautiful up in the Northeast.
I love it. All right. It's a little colder where I'm at, just outside Chicago, but windy. That's about it. So, yeah, like you said, no big weather concerns. Let's start off, I guess, with the best implied team total on the slate in Buffalo at the New York Jets. You think this game will be competitive at all?
I actually think it will be competitive. I looked at a lot of the past Buffalo New York games played in New York, and they've actually been pretty well played. There's been a few blowouts. The key here will be that Stephon Diggs matchup with Sauce. Sauce hasn't let up much to any receiver this year. Diggs, 3 straight games over 100 yards. So that would be really interesting to see if they try and take him out of the game and let others beat them. And if they do, I think Gabe Davis is the recipient of that.
I like that. Yeah, so Sauce actually looking at PFF grades right now for cornerbacks. He is one of the highest rated cornerbacks, and as a rookie, that's pretty badass. You do not see that often. And kind of like you said, like I do think it'll be slower paced because I respect Robert Saleh. Like he's not going to go out there and get his ass kicked. The Jets are playing so well in terms of the actual Jets. I know last week was a bit of a letdown, but I think this game will be a little bit closer. Josh Allen, 8,500, on DraftKings. Probably the safest cash game option quarterback on the slate. Would you play him in GPPs? Do you think this game goes up pace? I'm the opposite. I think it'll go a little slower than usual. Obviously, you could play Diggs. You could play Gabe Davis, like you said, with Sauce likely going to focus on Stephon Diggs. I'll take Stephon Diggs in that matchup every single time. He's the best route runner in the NFL. But for 84K or 8,400, I don't know why I'm butchering these salaries. 8,400 for Stephon Diggs and 8,500 for Josh Allen. That is the most expensive stack in DFS this week. I think I'm out just because the value is not really there for me. Despite them having a high implied team total, I just don't see this game going very up pace and being fantasy friendly.
I agree. I'm out in GPPs on Allen. I think there's better value. I mean, we'll talk about someone later where it Fields. I feel like you can get similar value with much less salary-wise. So I'm out on Allen and GPPs. Cash I'm fine with. One guy, I think Singletary could have a decent game. I think they might try and really unleash a little bit of the run game, and he's good in out of the backfield catching, right? So I think, again, Salah's going to try and do something, the Bill Belichick style. It might be, you know, Cloud Diggs. So I think we might get a little play out of Singletary as well.
Yeah, I like Devin Singletary a ton. So at 5,700, he's kind of the forgotten child at the running back position. Let me pull all of them up here. And right around there, so you're going to have Ramondre Stevenson 100% owned at 6,200. Yep. Kenneth Walker, 25% owned, probably a little higher. Donta Foreman, same thing at 6K, 20% owned. No one really going any lower than that. So I think Devin Singletary at 5,700, again, they're a double-digit favorite here. I think that's a really nice spot for him. My only issue with Singletary is just like they do so much random shit in the red zone that it pisses me off. It's kind of like what McDaniels did last week with Jake Ingold. I had so much Mostert last week. Even if he did score a touchdown, it wasn't going to be a ceiling game for him. So I was likely just wrong there. But I see Buffalo do that a ton. They usually have Josh Allen keepers. That's when Dawson Knox get involved, all things outside of Devin Singletary. So just know that if you're playing him, but that's significant leverage. Just getting any running back this week that's going to be 5% owned is going to be tough to do because all the ownership is so condensed up there, down there, I should say. But any run backs for the Jets you like? You're going to chase at Conklin Love or any player on the Jets you're targeting, Michael Carter. Maybe he can get 7 catches for 55 yards and be a DFS value at 5,500 on DraftKings. But I'm kind of out on the Jets, but what are your thoughts there?
I'm out on them. The only one I could maybe play in some GPPs. Carter, you could, but it's got to be, just a shot in the dark. I won't load him up on my lineups, but I'll be interested in Wilson. I think if you're going to get any game script where you see some Buffalo pull away, Wilson gets involved. He had a big week last week. I'm not back on the Conklin. That was a garbage touchdown at the end. Granted, great play, right? But I just don't think you can repeat that week in and week out. So, but Wilson at least is steady. So I might get in some Wilson love this week.
Okay. Yeah, right on. Other than that, I don't really like this game. I think the Bills defense is probably the best play on paper. They're going to be super low owned just because people can't pay up for defense this week. So if you're looking to get different, I'm usually not one to pay up for defense, but the Bills D, I think, is in a fantastic spot. They get Tre'Davious White back. So that's why I'm not really in on Wilson, but we will go on to the next game after this question. So can I fit all 3 of the 4 running backs.
3, 4. And so Aaron Jones and ETN and Stevenson. I don't touch Foreman out of those. I mean, those other 3 are just autos for me this week.
Yeah, if you could fit Aaron Jones's and Travis Etienne as a core play for me, we'll get to Ramondre shortly, but in cash, 100%, you got to play him. The whole field's going to have him. So let's talk about that game right now. So Indy at New England. This game is gross. It's got one of the lowest totals on the slate. I don't think we need to talk about any quarterback. Are you playing Sam Ehlinger at 5K? Or
No, not against Bill Bell. His record against rookies, and he's not even really, but still, his record against young QBs, not a chance. So I am not. I'm off most on the Indy side. Listen, Deion Jackson is going to be a play that people are going to like. It's going to be a little chalky because Taylor's out, and last time he got the start 60%, 7% of the touches, but I'm not in love with Jackson this week. Maybe a little GPP, not cash for me.
Yeah, I don't know if he's in my cash game line. I think he is just because I'm taking the savings. Let me look.
So that's the only way, right? The savings, if you can buy up, I could see him safely landing at 10, but I could more see 4 or 5 points or 25. Like I'd see this range for him that.
Yeah, it's not sexy. So I do have him in my lineup right now, but it's because I'm playing Josh Allen. So if I want to pay down a quarterback, I could get him off, and he'd be my first guy to get off on. But I'm going to keep it. The only thing I don't like about Deion Jackson, it's going to be a heavy roll. Everybody's going to look at his box scores prior, but Matt Ryan was the quarterback then, and he checks down significantly more than what we've seen from Sam Ehlinger. Again, it's a tiny sample size with Ehlinger, but I don't like to guess when I'm playing lineups. So if I don't know what the role is going to be for Deion Jackson, clearly he's going to be the RB1, but do you really want a running back against the Pats, especially the Colts running backs? They have not been efficient. Jonathan Taylor, when he was healthy, not very efficient. This run game has just been bad. So I'm not going to just bank on the fact that, he had 7 or 8 catches last time he was a starter. But that was with Matt Ryan. So I'm kind of out on that situation. Ramondre Stevenson, the highest owned player on the slate now that Damian Harris is ruled out. I love him in cash. You have to play him in cash. So, don't even question it. But in GPPs, do you like him? So I am fading currently in GPPs just because the ownership's so damn high. And I think guys like Travis Etienne, who's also going to be very popular at 6,300, could go get him. I like Mostert at 6,100. So I'm kind of just fading that spot to go higher on Etienne and a little bit more on a low-owned Raheem Mostert. But I hate it because – if he has a big day, I'm done. My cash games will be great, most likely. I would hope so. I expect to hit those, 75% of the year, I should say. But if he goes off, my GPP day is done, and as simple as that. There's 2 spots that'll kill me. It's going to be Green Bay, Detroit. I'm not playing any of the pass-catching players in that game other than Aaron Jones and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it looks like Rodgers is going to be chalk. So, those are my 2 paths to failure today. Obviously, my players still have to play, but if Stevenson goes nuts and Aaron Rodgers goes nuts, that's it for me. I'm done. So that's what are your thoughts on fading Ramondre and GPPs?
It's tough with the Harris stuff because even last week when Harris was in, Stevenson got 63% of the touches. He scored 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. He's a lock for 22 points every single week.
That's it. And I'm with you. It's scary because of the ownership value in GPPs. So really you have to get different. If you want to just double your money, play him in GPPs. But if you want to try and really go for the big one, I agree. I don't think he ends up in the Millie Maker lineup. I just think there's too much ownership with him. So that I like him, and I'm probably going to play him a little bit, but definitely in cash. No doubt in cash. He's so steady and 20 plus, like you said.
So he's the same price as Tony Pollard was last week, and a lock button Tony Pollard. I just feel like the game environment for the Dallas Cowboys offense is a lot more intriguing than it is for the Patriots. So that's why I think it was the same price for Pollard last week. And I went 100% in GPP cash, everything, just locked them. So a lot of people have asked, why would you fade Stevenson when you like Pollard so much at the same ownership, at the same price? To me, it's just game environment, how quickly Dallas plays. Chicago's actually playing pretty fast. That game was low-key a shootout. So I hope that doesn't kill me. If you guys are on Stevenson, play it. It's just I'm letting you know for clarity that I am off in GPPs just because I'd rather have more ETN and more Raheem Mostert in games with higher totals and game scripts that I think are a little bit more predictable for me. Anybody on New England or Indy that you like other than that? Tyquan Thornton. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say, maybe Jacoby Myers. I hear the Tyquan Thornton talk too.
Jacoby's price is great.
Yeah, and 34% of the targets again last week. He's just steady as they come. I think he's a good wide receiver too in most formats. So I like Jacoby. I do think they can pass the ball a little bit. against Indy. So, I mean, I'm not in love with it, but I can see playing Jacoby. As for Pittman, the problem was he got a ton of target shares last week, almost 40%, which is absurd. And then you want to pair that up with Ellinger, right? That was his first game with Ellinger. But I think he's like, I think he caught most of his balls 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. So he's not getting the air yards. So that's the only thing that concerns me. And against the New England team that's probably going to try and shell him, I'd probably lay off Pittman this week.
Yeah, 6,800 is way too much. For again, even if you have 40% of the target share, if you're only passing it 25 times, that's like equal to a like Chris Godwin 18 to 20% target share on a team that throws it 40 times. So give me the team with more volume all day. Tyquan Thornton did grade out as a significant value in the model on Win Daily Sports. If you go to tools and go to projection model, you'll see that Thornton is one of the highest rated value wide receivers. I played him a little bit just because I need those savings, but other than that, like I don't think we need to talk about Tyquan Thornton. Devontae Parker is out. That's why Thornton grades out as a value, but Thornton seemed like he was Zappy's guy a little bit more. So I don't know. You have any love for him or just a value play and leave it at that?
Yeah, value play, leave it at that. I mean, I could see it pop, but this game environment, I'm really probably staying away from.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's see if we got any questions here. What are your thoughts on this one? Oh, we did have one up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. Yvonne's always good with this. Walker, Moore, Dion, ASB, and
I'm going Dion and St. Brown. St. Brown's ownership is so high. For me in cash, I'm likely just chasing the ownership if it's a question like this where it's kind of a coin flip on projections and everything like that. I know Walker's going to be insanely high owned too, but I want Amon-Ra St. Brown. If everybody's on the Packers, like it makes a lot more sense for me to kind of take the Amon-Ra St. Brown because if the Packers are going nuts, he's going to be super busy. Josh Reynolds is out. I don't know. He's just. What are your thoughts? I'm with you. I'm assuming that's DJ Moore, right?
That's what I'm assuming. I was big on DJ last week, but it did take a Hail Mary at the end of the game for him to really pay off, right?
Exactly.
Paris Marshall actually looked like the kind of steadier option and definitely better value. So I'm going to go with you. Dion ASB, I just think you get more touches with that group today. Arizona's decent against the run. They're decent. I mean, I still think Walker is good, but I don't think he's in line for a huge game.
Yeah, Walker's ownership kind of it's more of a fade for me unless I'm stacking up that game completely where I'm going like 3 Cardinals and 2 Seahawks. That's kind of like the only time I got Seahawks.
We'll get into this,
Kenneth
but
Walker exposure.
I really don't think the Jeff Wilson signing is impacting Mostert much, if at all, today. So, no, I wouldn't worry about the red zone touches right now. I mean, listen,
he's only been in practice for 4 weeks. I know it's a similar system, but no, guys don't just come in and have a massive role. Maybe
Mostert's been great. He's been great. He just had one off game last week, and I don't think they got Wilson to take over Mostert's place. I think they got Wilson because Edmonds was just such a dud and for their offense. So I think Wilson is just insurance. I really do.
Am I crazy for loving the Jets D? I would say, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But Robert Saleh's, I mean, he's solid, and they do have the talent. Everybody seems to be healthy for the Jets right now, but the Pats just carved him up, man. What Buffalo is a walking 30-plus points every single game. I wouldn't mess with it. His core of Hill, Claypool, Aaron Jones. Dude, Claypool's going to run go routes and probably play like 30 to 40% of the snaps at most. Like it's not a good offense, but it's still complex with how much RPO they run. Claypool's not just walking in there and having a big role, so I would get out there. Moore's definitely good for cash. I see that question. Do you like the over? That's a big number. I'll tell you. Go ahead. I'll get the model up.
Yeah, I still do. My only concern there is I'm just nervous the Raiders are actually going to wake up and start running the ball. Actually, that's what I expect, where it might slow the game down a little bit more than we anticipate. So I think the possessions will be 1 or 2 less than I would like, 104.5. But the fact of the matter is Raiders aren't great, against the run. And I think ETN can get there. I do. He 80% of the snaps. That's the big part.
Yeah, he's all they got. I mean, Hasty will come out a little bit on 3rd down, but ETN's all they got. So here's the funny thing. So the prop is 104.5. My model has him for 105.6 all-purpose yards. So to me, that is a stay away. Like if I don't have an 8-yard edge on a prop, I'm not taking it. So unless you're like forcing this action, I would say pass on that one and find something else. How low can we go on FanDuel in cash to afford? QB? Oh, man. I didn't really look at FanDuel. Are you a FanDuel guy? That's usually
No, I'm
where
a
I gotta go.
DraftKings guy. I had FanDuel for some running backs with the article I wrote, but off the top of my head, I say you could probably go as low as my low line, my chalk line is probably Fields, but I don't know how low he is on FanDuel. I'll look now.
I've got it pulled up here.
Because I still think Fields can get in the end zone.
Oh, definitely. He's part running back. I'd say as low as on FanDuel, play Aaron Rodgers at 7K all day. In cash, absolutely. He's going to have a high ownership, 15% owned right now. I'm looking at on FanDuel. That's as low as you're going, I would say. He's cheaper than Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and even you could get there with Brady too, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't play Brady in cash, but if assuming that's a cash lineup, right? That's what he was asking. Yeah, cash played Aaron Rodgers on FanDuel all day.
I think that's perfect. That's as low as I would go. There's nothing under there that I want.
All right, let's move on to the next one. A total of 43.5. Another semi-gross game that I think has very condensed fantasy value. Minnesota at Washington. You got any love for the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I do. I do have some love for Cousins. I mean, Washington, I think, is 27th or 26th in past DVOA.
And they just traded William Jackson. It's going to be worse.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad, dude. Justin Jefferson's going to have 200 yards.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I rolled out a prop model earlier on Win Daily, and I think it's a Cousins day as well. It's a little return to Washington, where he grew up.
There you go.
And then I also think, I think Jefferson's the recipient. I think Hawkinson doesn't do much, but I do think he opens up the field. I think he will only play like 40% or so. But I think it helps. I think Cousins goes over that number. I think Jefferson does too. And I think off the script, you might get a little bit of love for Thielen as well. I'm not big in the Cook this week, but I am big for Cousins in the passing game in Minnesota.
Yeah, Dalvin's a little too expensive for me. He is sub 10%, so anytime you get Dalvin Cook with his red zone upside, the only issue there is like Madison plays a lot. So I don't want to pay $7,800 for a guy that's like a 65-35 timeshare, so that's just not for me. But Justin Jefferson's probably my favorite wide receiver play on the entire slate. Ownership projection is 5 to 8, so I haven't seen anything higher than 8. I haven't seen anything lower than 5, but pretty much everything in the industry right now is right in there. That's fantastic. They literally traded their best corner in William Jackson. Yep. He's not even good, but this is going to be a disaster. Like you said, the DVOA pass defense for Washington is terrible. Adam Thielen's at a really nice price at $5,600, like you mentioned there. I love the run back of Terry McLaurin. McLaurin's a wide receiver one with a crazy target share now, crazy air yards, long ADOT. I'm assuming Minnesota is going to handle this game pretty well. I think this is a low-key stackable game. I'm not on Cousins, but I get it 100%, which how much I love Justin Jefferson, and I appreciate Thielen this week. I should probably have some Kirk Cousins. But Terry McLaurin's a core play for me at $5,900. Justin Jefferson's a core play for me at $8,600. They're both in my main lineup right now, but they're just kind of a back and forth mini stack there because I'm getting exposure. Probably to, you can see I'm wearing all TB12 top to bottom. So that's going to be my quarterback today. But I love Jefferson, McLaurin, and Thielen. I think these guys are super unowned. I think this total's a little lower than I expected, but obviously Heineke's Heineke. I think Chase Young's back today too, isn't he?
He is. But I mean, the weather is just fantastic. 77 degrees, 7-mile-an-hour winds, a little cloudy too, which is good. Like, I think this is a good game environment for the pass game. So I'm with you. I think McLaurin's great. Young, I mean, they do create some pressure up front there, but they'll be okay. Cousins is smart enough to get that ball out at a decent rate. Washington did let up some big games to good quarterbacks too. Like Hurts had 340 against them. Trevor Lawrence actually had 280. So
I think Jared Goff tore him up too.
Yeah. I mean, the only ones that haven't torn him up are the Sam Ellingers. He only went for 200. The Cooper Rushes. But everyone else, this is a good game environment for the passing games.
I would go over on Justin Jefferson, whatever the number is.
I would. And also TD. I think I would play anytime TD.
Yeah, he hasn't scored at week 1 or week 2. He hasn't scored in a long time. It's just been a volume guy.
It was the game 4 in England since then.
Yeah. He did score. Yeah, he scored in England. Okay.
Yep. That was the last time.
All right. Well, let's go. So, Terry McLaurin at $5,900 for a wide receiver one that should be chasing points from the get-go in this game, going up against Cam Dantzler most of the time. Minnesota runs a ton of zone too, but that's all Cam Dantzler's side. So I love picking on Cam Dantzler. Tight ends, nothing. I'm not playing Hawkinson at 5K. Again, I don't play guys that just came into the the playbook and everything like that. Hawkinson's probably, I'm sure they're going to find a way to get him a touchdown, but at 5K, if you're getting 2 catches, 18 yards and a touchdown, they're going to welcome him into the red zone for sure. They're going to have some sort of package for him. But
they will, but Washington's allowed only 1 TD to tight ends this year, and I think they're top 3 in against tight ends, so they're pretty good. I don't know what it is that makes them good against tight ends. Maybe they haven't seen anybody good, but yeah, I'd stay away from Hawkinson is all I'm getting at. If he gets a touchdown, it's going to pair it with 3 catches. It's not going to be a lot high volume.
Yeah, I'm with you. If he was 3,500, sure, but 5K, I'm a hard pass. Any love for the running backs with J.D. McKissick out? Looks like Gibson's going to be popular. I'm a hard pass.
I'm a hard pass on everything. I thought I had it locked in with Brian Robinson, and then they go and totally flip the script last week. I don't know what Rivera's doing. Was it just like, I want to reward him for getting shot, that's why I gave him those 2 games? Or is it, and now I really like Gibson? Whatever it is, I'm out. Like you said,
I feel like Gibson just looks better.
He does.
Yeah. I like you're saying, it's like the story with Brian Robinson. Like maybe it's just better for PR to play him a lot. I don't know. I don't see it in him. But yeah, that running back situation's a mess. I want no part of Antonio Gibson or Robinson this week. And honorable mention, Curtis Samuel. I think he's got a good price. He's going to get 5 carries too. It seems like now they're putting him back in that scat back role. Really good price, low ownership. But yeah, Terry McLaurin and Justin Jefferson's really is as much as I can handle affording those guys. That's what I want.
Agreed.
Chargers at Atlanta. Now, let's hit a question real quick. We got a couple building up here. I'll let you hit this one. I like them both.
Yeah, I do.
I always lean DK. I go DK on FanDuel because he's significant higher red zone equity, and he's cheaper, and Lockett is cheaper on DraftKings and has more volume equity. So
yeah, I go DK with a slight edge. But yeah, play them. Arizona's bad defensively, especially in the past game. So I like DK just slightly better.
For sure. All right, what do we get? Tanyan or Hurts?
I guess
I'd go one of the first 2.
Yeah.
I like Hurts a ton. We'll talk about him in a minute. I got the coverage breakdown there. I would lean Hayden Hurst there. I don't think you need to pay up for Hurts. That's going to change your lineup a lot.
I agree. Actually, I might even like Disley if you want to go cheap dumpster diving at tight end versus Arizona. But yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad either. Would you play Samuel over Scary Terry on cash for Stevenson or punt? Detroit tight end. I'm fine with Samuel and cash. He's going to get 8+ touches to get Stevenson. So yeah, I'm okay with that. You fine with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I think Samuel's upside is severely capped. McLaurin's got much better upside in my opinion, but for cash, not many guys at 5,200 are going to get that many catches. Or just play Josh Palmer.
Yeah, but that's yes, right now.
Let's talk about that one right now. So Chargers at Atlanta. I'll let you kick us off on this one.
So Eckler's probably my favorite running back on the board, and yes, he's going to be chalky. I get it, 8,800, a little high on DraftKings. All that's valued, right? But I mean, he's averaged 34 DK points over the past 4 weeks, and now without Mike Williams, without Keenan Allen, he's just going to see at least 10 targets again. And I just think Eckler's just, Atlanta's 31st overall in defensive DVOA, 26 in rush DVOA. We watched what Deontay Foreman did to him last week with 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's just, don't get too cute here. He's going to do great today. Now, next is Palmer. And Palmer was, last game he played was in week 6, 21% of the target shares, led all wide receivers for the Chargers. The week before that, 18%. I think Palmer gets upwards of 25% of the shares this week. So I like Palmer and Eckler both on LA. And that's probably it. I don't know if I'm going Everett, but those 2 I like.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much like if you're playing Justin Herbert, like I don't understand how his props at 286 passing yards. I have him for 262. I do not like being that far off the market, so I'd lean the under, but I wouldn't force a play just because, again, it's kind of a red flag when I'm that far off the market. I don't like Josh Palmer's not a wide receiver 1. He's not fast. He's kind of more of a slot guy, in my opinion. The volume will be there. He's fine for cash. I'm not playing him in GPPs, but Atlanta's secondary is so bad. AJ Terrell's out again. Atlanta, I'm not going to mess with Cordero, but every time I fade Cordero, he goes for 50 points, it seems like. Eckler is a fantastic play. He probably gets 8+ catches. Again, he is their best wide receiver this week. Let's put that out there. Gerald Everett, I like him. I don't like the price. 4,800. It just seems like when tight ends are wasted, what has Gerald Everett ever done? Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you seen him over 20? And I need some.
I don't know if he's ever gotten over 20 in his career.
Yeah.
Like even with Seattle, when he was a clear tight end one there for a little bit with Russ, when that offense was good at times. I know this offense is great, but I don't know, man. I don't like it. The ownership's low. He's going to have a high target share, so it's fine. It's just when we're kind of playing what punt tight end do we like the most, I'd rather just have the most savings on it. That's good for this game. Drake London, I think, is super cheap. 4,900 for a wide receiver one. Again, they just don't pass. It's kind of that whole situation we were talking about with the Colts and Michael Pittman. Sure, he's going to have a massive target share on paper, but when you throw it 25 times a game at most, not very sexy fantasy situation. But he's priced like a not very sexy fantasy situation, so I get that.
Let me. Are you really off Cordero? Because the only reason I say that is, Chargers allowed the second most points to running backs. Cordero was good. Averaging 16 points a game in 3.5 games. I could see it. It's going to be touchdown dependent today because I think his carries will be a touch less.
I just don't think Algier just disappears. He's been so productive too.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. If they just run Cordero out there and give him a massive workload right off the bat, I'm okay being wrong that way.
Yeah.
It goes back to kind of where I opened the show. I don't like the unknown. I want to see how much he plays first. It's like DeAndre Swift last week. A lot of people loved him. Dude barely played. So I kind of obviously he apparently re-aggravated his ankle injury from the beginning of the year. I don't know. Cordero's not in that same situation. I just don't like it. But that's a good question. At 58K or 5,800, why I keep giving these guys 10x their price, or 5,700, Cordero or Devin Singletary, who do you like more?
Singletary.
That's where I go. It's like if I'm looking at the 5.8K range and it's like, okay, I want a running back or someone with a lot of touches and I see Singletary right there, I'm probably just going to go to Singletary and get exposure to a much higher implied team total.
Yeah, I agree. I just know the catch rate will be there, which is just huge in DFS. So with Cordero, it's probably run not much out of the backfield catching.
Yeah, for sure. This is a good question. Jefferson Dubs versus Hopkins Kirk. I'd go Hopkins Kirk all day.
Well, you don't even have to give me the second name after Hopkins. I go whatever you want to pick. That target rate and that Seattle defense, yes, and yes.
Yeah, as much as I love Jefferson at 5% ownership in that price tag, you don't need to go there in cash. Go there in GPP if you want to, but Hopkins ownership is going to be crazy, and Kirk. I
do like Kirk today. I do like Kirk today. Yep.
All right, let's move on to Miami, Chicago. You like Fields. I wanted to play Fields last week so much. I didn't really get there. I wish I did. I hate playing naked quarterbacks, and I need to get over that personally. That's like an issue with myself, but I will not play. I don't want to stack Fields with anybody because he's going to get 70 rush yards. You don't need to stack him with anybody. He's got, on paper, I guess, a lot of weapons. Like they don't have a massive condensed target share. I know it's Mooney and nobody else, but I don't know. N'Keal Harry snaps one up last week. Equinemius St. Brown still gets a lot of targets. In the red zone, they spread it out to everybody. They don't really score touchdowns, but they attempt to. But I don't know. I think this game, Miami handles them. There's no one left on the Bears defense. So my favorite play in this game is Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, Robert Quinn gone, Roquan Smith. I hear you. My defensive Fields, top 8 quarterback last 3 weeks, and he was down by about 28 last week in Dallas and still found value late in the game. They're trying to open up things for this kid. Good weather there. Wind's a little up, like you said. You're right outside of there. You saw the Northwestern Ohio State game yesterday, probably.
That was gross.
That was a tough game to move the ball through the air. So what better value than Fields has averaged 11 rushing attempts per game in his last 3. He's going to get hurt. We know that's coming down the road. You can't survive at that type of rate. But while he's doing it, I think he can play catch-up ball and get blown out today and still be of value. So I do like him. But like you said, on the other side, Mostert is actually my favorite. It's not Hill. It's not Waddle. It's Mostert. Chicago 28th rush DVOA. We saw what Pollard did. Need I say more?
Yeah, Pollard barely even. I think he had 14 or 15 carries, and that was it. They're like, wow, this is easy. So I do love Mostert. I think if you guys are on Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, all that, their prices went up significantly, but these guys are still studs. So like we said, there's no one healthy for the Bears defense. I just worry, like you said, if Miami goes up 21-0, hopefully Mostert scores a touchdown or two in that game script scenario, because I am back on Mostert. I'm going to play a lot of them now, these sub 10% ownership. Justin Fields makes a ton of sense. I think it's a perfect run back. If you just want a mini stack Mostert with the game script of Miami does what they want on offense, Mostert gets a touchdown or two. They're up by 20. Mostert gets 18 plus touches.
Yep.
Fields in catch-up mode. I think that's great. Would you play Fields naked, or are you going to stack him?
No, naked. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mooney's the only one that you could potentially get there with 15 receptions, 23 targets last 3 games. So they're definitely getting him involved, but it's still been an average of 11 DK points. That's not enough for me to get, stackable in GPPs. And hey, see you checking in. He's right. Everyone, if you're following, please hit the like button. It really helps us out. It goes a long way. And don't forget, the ads on the bottom of the screen here, $5.99 per week. I'm sure most of you are already subscribers, but Stix model and his projections, as well as the Discord chat, just have been hit. People have been hitting every single week. So please hit the like button. Please follow. Please subscribe. And then we'll go to the next point that Sia made.
Yeah, you definitely play with the Tyreek and Waddle.
That's the side I would do. I would do that. And for me, I guess it's more time.
What about one of each? What about Mostert and a pass catcher? And then it's just like, all right, Miami's going nuts. Fields is playing catch up all day. And I think that's great. And Miami plays a ton of man too. I mean, Lamar Jackson ran for like 200 yards against them. It is great to have rushing quarterbacks against man coverage.
I agree 100%. So yeah, I'm 5,300 too. You're talking Sam Ellinger at 5,000 or Justin Fields at 5,300. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, props to FanDuel for at least raising Fields' price. I don't know why DraftKings has him priced like this. He's clearly a fantasy asset. It may not look great on paper, but the dude puts up 20 points just by showing up for the most part. Carolina at Cincinnati. I don't like this game much at all. Joe Mixon, good spot at 6,500, but Carolina's D is good. These guys play hard. DVOA, everything I believe is top 10 for them.
It is.
And Mixon, that run game hasn't been there. So unless Mixon's catching 5 passes, which doesn't seem like they're interested in doing a whole lot, I'm out on Mixon. 15% ownership, you guys can have that.
So I'm a little bit in on Mixon, and I hear what you're saying. I'm only doing it to probably play a little different. The ownership scares me a little. I wish it was less.
I think it will be less. Like when I don't trust these ownership projections. When Foreman's 20%, Stevenson 45%, ATN's 40%, like Mixon's the odd man out there. He's not going to get 15% ownership.
I hope not, because Zach Taylor, he 41 pass calls last week out of 50 plays, 82% pass calls. I got to think they mix it up. Burrow almost died on Monday Night Football in front of our eyes. Miles Garrett was having a feast, right? And Thanksgiving's not even here. So I think Mixon could be the beneficiary of a revised game plan today at 6,500. I think it's pretty good, but I like him more in cash. I think he's not going to let you down in cash. On the other side, we talked about it earlier. I'm off Foreman. I know he had his great week last week. DJ Moore too, lots of targets, but it took a pretty big play to really get him to pay off. One guy I could see is Terrace Marshall. I just think if he's getting
Marshall
87 yards, it was a career high last week, 21% targets last 2 weeks. And value's great. I think Marshall's a good play today.
Yeah, I like all of them because Awuzie's out for the Bengals. He's their best corner. I believe Trey Flowers is out too, or highly questionable. Mike Hilton is out. Like their top 3 corners are out. Eli Apple, I think, is their best cornerback, and he's terrible. We've talked about Eli Apple on here for years. So, I mean, Trey Flowers, I guess, is the guy to watch. But even then, with Awuzie out and Mike Hilton out, that's going to be a problem. So DJ Moore is a good value. Carolina's D is going to run. So on the Carolina side, they're going to run nothing but cover 3 and cover 4. That is where Burrow likes to go to the X wide receiver, which today will be T. Higgins, usually Jamar Chase, and Hayden Hurst. Every single situation about this coverage, it looks like Hayden Hurst has a significantly above the baseline target share in these matchups. So Hayden Hurst is a really sharp play, I think, at 3,600. The only issue I have with Hayden Hurst is how much I like Evan Ingram, but I think Hayden Hurst in the red zone, Hayden Hurst scores a touchdown today.
I agree.
I will guarantee it on the stream. If it doesn't happen, I don't know. I'll give out a random Millie Maker ticket next week to somebody. Whoever asked the best question next week, if Hayden Hurst does not score a touchdown, like a question that stumps me, like that question on Travis Etienne on Prize Picks at 104.5 when my Miles got it at 105. Like that's a good question.
That's a good question. Hey, Stix, I'll be right there in 1 minute. I got to get my charger. I'll be there in 1 second.
Yeah, do your thing. I'll take over on this game a little bit. So Carolina, we talked about DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall. Not anything like spectacular, but the matchup is fantastic with the Bengals secondary being completely in ruins. I like Terrace Marshall, the value there. DJ Moore is a lot of value, again, for a wide receiver 1. I just worry about the pace of this game. I do like Foreman for the reason I don't love Mostert. I'm going to play Mostert because I'm a ownership whore when I see 5% ownership in a spot that is fantastic against the Bears' lack of run D. I'm going to play it. But for Donta Foreman, they give this guy the ball every single play in the red zone, it seems like. They gave it to him on 4th down last week when he got his first touchdown. So they don't do anything tricky in the red zone. They just go to Foreman, let their offensive line kind of push forward, and Cincinnati's defensive line is pretty bad right now against the run. So Donta Foreman's in a fantastic spot. We will move on to Green Bay, Detroit, Chalk City. Aaron Rodgers.
Let's answer
go
this
ahead.
quick one. Burrow over 260. I'm actually going to go under here. I mean, Carolina's decent, like Stix said earlier, with a lot of DVOA areas. And I just think they can't go back to 82% pass plays. I think it's being more balanced today. I do like T. Higgins a little bit, but I'm going to go under. And I hate to say it.
Hey, we got a trio. Yeah, so funny question here again. Over 260 pass yards. My Miles got Joe Burrow for 259.76. So I'm going to stay away. But I was
you can join too if you want. See, if you want to hop
let's
in
go.
here.
Let's go quad box before red zone starts. I'm all in. See ya. Hop in. Show your beautiful face. But all right, let's get into the chalk game of the week. Aaron Rodgers against Jared Goff and the Lions. Terrible defense. My favorite play on the slate is Aaron Jones, I think, outside of Justin Jefferson and Terry McLaurin. I'm just going to play Aaron Jones everywhere. I could not afford him in cash because, again, I'm paying up for Josh Allen. But if you want to pay down, I mean, you could pay down to Kyler Murray and probably afford Aaron Jones in cash, which I'm fine with that. Jamal Williams. What are your thoughts on Jamal Williams? I like him a ton at 5,900 and 2% ownership. Green Bay's run defense is awful, 31st in DVOA. If you looked at the new edition I put in the article this week, it's kind of the DVOA matchup tool. The number 1 running spot is running backs against Green Bay on the slate.
I love that you said that because I wrote up Jamal Williams in my running back report.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, and listen, he didn't get most of the carries, snap counts last week, but he got most of the carries. And he's still, they will use him at the goal line. Green Bay, like you said, you already talked about rush DVOA, but also 29th most rush yards allowed per game at 141. They're a sieve. They're just, I think Jamal Williams gets the beneficiary. I'm not even sure if Swift is playing. Have you seen any updates on him yet?
I think he's playing. Last I heard, he's playing. Jamal Williams kind of like reminds me of Cordarrelle Patterson, the guy I don't want to play every week that just goes off every week. So
2 touchdowns every week.
It just happens every single time. It's like when I play St. Brown, I never play Swift either. I don't think he's going to be playing much. Coach came out and said he's, banged up, still injured. So no Swift. I think Jamal Williams makes sense for GPPs because nobody's really going to play him. And he always finds the end zone, similar to Cordarrelle Patterson. I view them the same way. They probably won't be in my lineup. I won't be surprised if they score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and the other thing, Hawkinson going. You got to weigh that in, right? I mean, down near their red zone, you don't want Goff throwing it. I'd give it to Jamal 3 times and just, close my eyes.
One bet I liked, I told Stix earlier, 66.5 last night on Sirius on Aaron Jones over rush prop. If you can't get to Aaron Jones in your DFS lineup, definitely hit it up on a prop market. I think that's way too low for a number. Game script's going to be in his favor. Probably puts up 75, 80 yards in the first half.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to him over A.J. Dillon over the past couple of weeks. And A.J. Dillon kind of hurt his knee in Buffalo. It looked bad, but I don't know. He came back in the game. Nothing on the injury report this week. Not sure what's going on there. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the wide receivers is right now the highest owned wide receiver on the slate, so I will be locking him in cash. If I could make a sexy 6 instead of the Fab 5 on the article, I think we get in trouble if I lock 6 players per DraftKings rules. I can't share all that, but I don't care on audio right now. I'm playing Amon-Ra St. Brown with that Fab 5 in my cash lineup. Not going to pay $6K for Lazard as much as I love him. Lazard, whatever I call him, Lazard. Romeo Doubs at 5,300. I'm just playing Aaron Jones. I'm praying that this Green Bay chalk passing game doesn't kill us. And I'm okay if you guys are in on it, by all means. It's just Green Bay doesn't pass a lot. They haven't been playing no huddle. They don't go up tempo. I just like Aaron Jones so much this week that I can't love all of the other playmakers unless I think Green Bay's going to score 60 points. And it's possible. Detroit's defense is that bad. I'm just out. Something about Rodgers is rubbing me the wrong way this year. I don't like him.
I've never liked him. So yeah.
I mean, he's a stud though. I mean, like talk about.
No, I like the game, but the way he leads his team in the face, and he just looks like he doesn't care. Like
I could go ahead.
No, I just
he's not a leader anymore. Yeah. But I could go 40 yards downfield, hold a quarter in my hand, and just raise it up, and he would hit the quarter out of my hand without touching my hand. Like he is dead eye accurate still to this day, and he's still pretty athletic. But it's not there. I don't see it in him. I don't see that Tom Brady killer instinct in him anymore. Ever since Devontae left, and even last year, he kind of looked like a bitch most games. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah. Jay, are you on the Green Bay passing attack or just all your Jones?
I'm not completely off. I put out 100 lineups, so I'm going to have some Aaron Rodgers exposure. When I do go there, I have a little bit of Tanyan too. I think tight end is going to be scattered. I can see him getting in the end zone. He always looks like he's open. He runs hard. So I kind of like Tanyan at his price to get off of some of the chalkier tight ends. I think Aaron Jones is the smash spot. And then I'm just getting a couple shares in an Aaron Rodgers stack with Lazard. Like last week, I was excited to. It's crazy. I was excited to play Tua against the same team, but I'm not excited to play Aaron Rodgers. I never really thought I would say that, going into this year. But it's a different offensive, weaponry that Tua and the Dolphins has versus Green Bay. They can't catch balls. They're not in the right spots. They look a mess. Tanyan's there. Dubs is there. Lazard is there. My question to you, Stix, I see everybody like St. Brown and cash lock, go for it 20%. But how good is Alexander? Is Alexander going to be shadowing him? Is that something that you're at all worried about?
No, he won't go in the slot.
Okay. So St. Brown is safe. Does that make Raymond not safe? And who is Alexander match up with? Because I do have some exposure outside of St. Brown to, Raymond in a couple spots. Should I take him out of lineups, with the Alexander matchup? He's cheap, but you're looking for 3 catches for 60.
Yeah, I don't know. Rasul Douglas is going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown all day, and that's what. If I'm Dan Campbell and that, I forgot the offensive coordinator's name. Is it Ben Martin? I don't know. He's a good dude, pretty smart, but they're going to keep Amon-Ra in the slot all day long. Josh Reynolds is out, so I don't know who's going to play the outside. Khalif Raymond will kind of mix in there too, but I don't know. I think you're playing with fire, playing Khalif Raymond. I like the Detroit tight ends. I think they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. James Mitchell's the cheap one. I guess they're both 2,500. And Brock Wright is more their blocking tight end. So I kind of like James Mitchell to get active. He's a super talented college player. Go look at his tape. It's pretty interesting. Sirius XM Friday shows, we're talking about him a little bit. So I got interested and just watched his tape. But I don't know. I don't know how Detroit moves the football outside of Jamal Williams. I mean, Swift is going to have to get very active today. I think they have to increase the snap count, despite saying it's going to be limited. But other than that, I don't see how they keep in this game. I like Aaron Jones and Green Bay Packer defense as my favorite pairing in this game.
Makes sense, man.
Yeah, and you don't have to repeat it, but I just got to say, Detroit, I mean, what are they? 30th in rush yards per game, 155, 31st defensive DVOA. For all that biting kneecaps that we're doing, I think this is a absolute smash play. Aaron Jones, my favorite. I'm with you.
Yep.
All right, let's get another question. How are you locking in St. Brown's with Hopkins with the 3 RBs? Play Deion Jackson. I don't think I locked Hopkins in cash. I did not.
I did lock in 3 RBs in my multi-entry builds. I just think the RBs are the way to go. Getting exposure to the right ones, the right combinations. That's where I'm going with most of my lineups. But, Hopkins is a play that we're going to talk about soon. Stix, you're controlling these games, but Hopkins is a point to look at for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'm checking the Fab 5.
No, and then here's another one. Go to Fields. I mean, there are some $5,000 options out there that you could build.
That's a lot. Trevor Lawrence, Fields. Yeah. If you want to get crazy, Carr's right there. There's enough guys in the 5K range that can get there for sure. Yeah. Guys made a lineup, just made a lineup with your boy Fields. It works easily. You can even get to Kyler Murray. We're going to talk about him in a second. I want to get Stix takes on Murray as well, but there's some big plays here in these late games as well. Stix giving away those Fab 5. While he's typing those things up, Dave, man, just going to ask you, have you recovered? You don't look as hungover from a World Series as I would have thought.
It's all good, man. we really were pissed at our manager's decisions last night, but in the end, he got us there, and it was a surprise. It was a great run.
Why the hell did he take out Wheeler?
It's so bad. And when he took Nola out the other game, bases loaded, nobody out, and then Alvarado blew it, he made so many bad mistakes. But in the end, he's a new manager, and he's a good guy. Wheeler got screwed. That's exactly right, Brian. But it's okay. It was a great year, and the Astros are a damn good team. I'm not embarrassed. I'm good, man.
All right.
His hard hit rate last night was 0%, and they took him out. So I don't get it. But we'll move on to one of my favorite games.
That hit by pitch was bullshit, by the way. But anyway,
he just sat there, kept moving closer to the plate. Just take it.
He was on the plate.
He said it too. Like he said it in the post game. Like that's what he tried to do. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
I can't hit. Just hit me, please.
How bad do you have to suck in MLB to say this is my best way to get on base?
It happens. All right, let's move on to my favorite game on the slate, I think, and it's gross, but I love Trevor Lawrence against the Las Vegas Raiders at home. You guys have any thoughts there?
Yeah, my favorite in this game, I think it's a Jacobs game all over again. He's gone over 20 carries in 3 games. They're 2-1 in those 3 games, and he's averaged 149 yards on the ground. Last week, it got away from him quick, so he only got 10 carries. So on the Vegas side, I love Jacobs. I took over his yards, 77.5. I think it goes big. And like you said, on the Jacksonville side, it's Kirk and T-Law. I do like that. And Ingram a little bit too.
Yep, love Ingram. And ETN, I mean, you could stack everybody. Zay Jones is a good value. So the only guy that's out for me, I'm not playing Marvin Jones. So I'll probably bet Marvin Jones to score a touchdown so it doesn't kill me if the rest of this offense goes crazy. But Trevor Lawrence at 5% ownership, he's my second favorite quarterback, arguably first. I'll get to my first as we go on. But I love playing. Like Trevor Lawrence is good against teams that don't blitz and don't bring pressure, and that is exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders don't do. They don't blitz and they don't bring pressure, so I'm all for it. ATN is going to be a super high own, so I'm okay if you add him in that stack. But Christian Kirk at 5.5K on DraftKings, sub 10% owned. This is a fantastic matchup for them. I think Nate Hobbs is out too. For the Raiders, this game should go. Devontae Adams is under 10%. Like, no one is paying up for wide receivers this week. So Devontae Adams, I don't like him as much as Justin Jefferson, but you get a little bit of a discount. Mac Hollins at 4,500 or 45. Yeah, 4,500. I don't know why pricing is giving me such a headache today, but I like Mac Hollins at 1% ownership too. So I do have a game stack of ETN, Christian Kirk, and Trevor Lawrence running it back with Devontae Adams and Mac Hollins, and then I'll do what Dave said as well. I like getting exposure to Jacobs, but really only in game stacks here because Jacobs is expensive. The passing down work is going down a little bit now that Amir Abdullah is active, but again, they still threw it to him 4 times last week. Jacobs is going to get 2 or 3 catches. He's going to fill it up. So a 10% ownership, Josh Jacobs is a great play. I just think this game's got a ton of fantasy appeal because both these defenses suck. Would I play him in cash? No. I'd rather on DraftKings, if you're going that low, I think Dave's all over it. Just play Justin Fields because you know he's going to get 60-plus rush yards.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence could throw for 200 yards and 3 picks. So, like, that's why he's solely GPP. I know Justin Fields could throw a pick or 2 as well, but the rushing floor in Justin Fields is significantly higher than the passing floor of Trevor Lawrence, I would say.
Jay, you want to take this one? Mahomes tonight.
Let's not. We'll get there in a second. Mahomes and
I haven't studied the Sunday night game.
Yeah, I haven't studied that tremendously. But one thing I noticed last night when we were doing the series show, there's not many running backs with a rushing prop over, Jacobs and ATN. Like they're going to be running the ball a bunch in this game. They're both smash spots. It's finding the right 3 combinations, for your running backs. But feel ultra safe with ATN, ultra safe with Jacobs. If you look at these, look at Stix's models, you look at the props, they both love these guys, so they're going to go out there and have a big day. Aaron Jones rushing receiving at 99, Eckler at 116, Ramondre Stevenson at 111. And then, like I said, you got these 2 guys at 105, 104. So you're guaranteed 10 points from these guys as a base floor at the running back position. And ATN is super cheap. You fade them in GPPs. It's a great way to get to Lawrence here because everybody's going to be loading up on ATN, so you can go to the passing game here. Adams, super low owned. Mac Hollins, not going to be owned at all. So game stack for GPPs, I think this game makes a lot of sense. Not much to worry about. As long as the weather, I was talking to Sia last night. It's Florida, so if it gets rainy, get a little bit worried, but I'm not sure if that changed. You know, it didn't look like a big deal last night, but one thing I'll just take a yeah. If it's just a normal, you know, Florida day where it rains for like 5 minutes and then it goes back to sunny, I like this game a lot. Sneaky shootout potential. I just hope Adams gets it going, man, because Josh Jacobs is the guy that he can't do anything wrong. It looks like Derek Carr and Adams in his pass game can't do anything right. So it's kind of shocking to me to get to this point, but Jacobs a clear cut. Adams low owned. Mac Hollins won't be owned. I just made a lineup while we're talking. I swapped out Raymond for Hollins 6. So I hope that works out.
Stack it up.
Yeah, so you can run this game a lot of different ways. Zay Jones too.
Let me add one more.
Yeah, go for
it.
Add
Moreau. I mean, listen, he's got 14 targets last 2 games. Waller with a hamstring. I think Moreau at 3,200 might be my second favorite play on the Raiders.
I think he is now the tight end chalk on the slate. So something if you don't want to play Ingram and Cash. No, that's fine. You're getting cheap exposure to a good target share in a game you like. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I prefer Ingram. Yeah, play him.
This game, the only tough part about this game, there's nothing that's outside of the running backs. It's how big do you stack this game if you're going for it. If you're going for it, are you running 2 of each side, or are you just running a quarterback with, you know, 1 pass catcher and running it back with one of the running backs? I think Carr's still playable too in GPPs. I got, you know, maybe 3 to 5% of my lineups with Carr as well, just taking a shot on it.
Rodgers.
I was going to say Rodgers or Geno. It's not Fields in season long for me. I think it's just the high upside. It's Rodgers or Geno, and Rodgers is safer. So season long Rodgers.
Yep, I like that. Let's move on to the 2 afternoon games. Seattle at Arizona. I think Kyler's a fantastic play. The dude's got a passing prop of over 260 yards. I think that's the first time we've seen that since the Kansas City game, and the guy rushes. So Vegas expects Kyler to go absolutely nuts. You know who to pair him with. It's DeAndre Hopkins. The model loves the value in Rondale Moore. I'm not a Rondale Moore guy, but the matchup against Kobe Bryant on the inside is significantly noteworthy, and player props right now have Rondale Moore for over 4.5 catches. So it's Greg Dortch is done. It seems like he's just kind of the odd man out now. Robbie Anderson's snaps are going to take up a little bit more, but Rondale Moore and DeAndre Hopkins and Zach Ertz are the guys to play here. It sounds like James Conner's a game time decision. I'm just out on that running back situation in general. Dave, same question to you. If Conner's out, Eno Benjamin at 5,900 or Devin Singletary at 57.
Singletary, there's just not enough for me in the Eno, near the end zone game. I know he got a touchdown. I think he has 2 rushing touchdowns this year, but I just can't trust him. The way Eno's going to break loose is if they get down big and they have to use him in the pass game. And I think this is a closer game. Now that Hopkins is back, that takes away some of those receptions out of the backfield. So it's Singletary still for me.
Yeah, for me, the reason why I like Kyler, I don't want to play either. I don't even want to play either of those guys, to be honest with you, running back. I think there's so much running back value. You don't really need, you want to go off the beaten path and wide receivers or tight ends, go for it. Running backs, I think there's 6 of them that are just in great spots. Pick between 6 or 7 and don't really get too different. It's been working the last couple of weeks, so I'm not going to change that. The reason I love, Kyler here, I'm not a Kyler guy. I don't think he's that good, but you have the rushing floor. You got a high-paced game. And you know where his targets are going to. With other teams, certain teams you do know and certain teams you really don't know. But this team, more than any other team, Hopkins is at least getting 10 to 12 targets, and he's probably going to catch 90% of them. And he's going to be involved in the red zone as well. So Hopkins is going to get force-fed the ball. So I love knowing that. On the flip side of things, I like Geno as well, but I don't know where the ball is going with Geno. It could be equally split between Lockett and Metcalf. You have to roll the dice, and if you're right and you have them in the right lineup, then you hit. If you're wrong, then they can go out there and get you 5 or 6 points, and you're going to be chasing, and you're not going to win a tournament. So that's what worries me with Geno. Got a couple shares of these tight ends on Geno's side with Font and Disley. They're cheap. Mm-hmm. They're gross, but Arizona's defense is terrible on that side. Kenneth Walker in play. I'm not touching the Arizona running backs. And defense, not really touching defense in this game. Hopkins, lock him. If you can get there, I think he's the safest. Probably be the last time he's under 8K on DK.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, 100%. I think that covered that game great. Kenneth Walker's a good spot, too. I'm really only playing him similar to Jacobs when I'm game stacking this. I think you can certainly do that. But Jay nailed it on the head. You're kind of playing roulette with Metcalf and Lockett. I'd say if you're making a lineup and you have one of them, make the same lineup with the other one.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the best advice I could give.
I've been doing double down. Invest
like every year is the same thing, and there's no like rhyme or reason to it. It's not like matchup based. It's like who's going to break that tackle and run for 60, and that's the guy. And then somehow he gets in the second time. Doesn't matter if one's like pregame hurt. That's probably the better one to play too. It's like there's nothing that's proven to me that this is going to be a Metcalf or a Lockett week. I can't figure it out with Russell or Gino.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on the coverage, but Arizona runs cover 2 and cover 3, and they each benefit the other guy. So it's like, again, not the spot. So you are flipping a coin. Like I wrote about, just play whichever one's cheaper, I think, on the side, or just do the double lineup thing. Just do the same exact thing. Change your defense if you have to for the extra 300 for Metcalf on DK. But last game of the day, 4% owned Tom Brady. Are any of you guys doing it with me, or is it just me?
Tell me why first, because like I can do it just because I think he's gonna throw the ball a bunch, but his over/under is super low.
That is
he's dealing
scary.
with all the off-the-field drama. Like he's fairly priced. It makes sense. Now, are you expecting the Rams to come back and score on Tampa's defense?
Tampa's defense is in shambles. What scares me though is that total's not moving despite the injury report for the Bucs. Shaq Barrett's out. I think there's a ton of Bucs injuries here. Let me see here. So I'm not playing their defense at 3K.
Yeah, they scored on. Brady's got a 270 props. I get it. It's Brady. They're going to be passing a ton. You kind of know where it's going. Godwin and Evans. So, like, you have your clear-cut targets there. I don't mind Fournette a bit. I'm not playing.
Winfield's out. Antoine Winfield's out. So fire up Higby too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I look at it as, in terms of pass attempts per game, maybe the only guy that's close with Brady, if not a tidbit higher, is Justin Herbert. And I don't like him because the talent's not right there right now. Chris Godwin's the highest owned wide receiver up there with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but no one likes Brady. Doesn't make any sense to me. Jalen Ramsey's not going to shadow Mike Evans. Mike Evans could absolutely smash at 4% ownership as well. Godwin's going to be in a fantastic spot. The prop market loves him. And all the Rams do is play zone, and that's usually when Brady plays his best, is against zone coverage. So everybody's healthy for the Bucs on the offensive side. I like that. I'm not going to play Fournette. I'm just thinking Brady through it. Like, the ceiling guys on this slate are Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. If they don't go absolutely nuts, like, other than that, you're playing a bunch of guys that are, I guess maybe Fields has a very high ceiling. Like Dave said, he's dead on that. But other than those guys, like, it's a battle of who throws the most touchdowns. Like, Tua's not going to throw for 400 yards. So let's say all these guys that we're debating on is like Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins we touched on. Let's see. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a little bit more mobile, but he's in a different price category, so let's not include him. Geno Smith and Tom Brady. It's like all those guys, yeah, their ceiling is probably 300 yards passing. Brady's is probably a little bit higher with how much they move the ball. So it's what guy throws 3 touchdowns. I'm okay taking roll the dice on Tom Brady at no ownership when the Rams defense is a pass funnel. Like, you can't run on them. So
nope.
45 pass attempts is probably the way. And I love the run back of Tyler Higbee because the Bucs, as bad as the Cardinals are against tight ends, the Bucs are just as bad against tight ends. Isaiah Likely had a career day against Mark Andrews was on fire before he got hurt. Tampa runs nothing but cover 3 and a little bit of cover 4. That is advantage Higbee, and that is advantage Cooper Kupp. I'm going to be off Kupp because the low ankle sprain sure he's going to go out there and play. I'm not paying a premium for him. I think he's in a good spot too at no ownership. I just think this game kind of goes back and forth like we saw in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, neither team can run, and both teams play good run defense. So it is a passing script. So I'm with Rams 19th pass defense DVOA. I think Brady puts up 300. It's just the touchdowns. You need the touchdowns here, like you said. And I think we can get there. I like him better than Rodgers, priced at the same against a worse defense, just because Aaron Jones. So, Stix, I think I'm with you, but more in cash. Do you like him better in GPPs or cash?
Oh, absolutely. No, GPPs and cash. I'd rather just, if I'm not playing
go Fields
now, I'd rather go like to Fields or a guy cheaper like that. Yeah. So I don't know. And Westgate did just move the total to 43. So Jay, we got some sharp money on the over, but 43 when all these other games are 48, 49, 50. Yeah, I get it. It's risky.
Tough. The one thing that I agree with, I ran the optimizer, Win Daily Sports earlier. I wanted to get some Brady exposure, and the exposure I have, it's a 5%. And I got Brady with Higbee and Godwin. That's the stack I went with. So I think that is it's cheap too. So like you can kind of be wrong and you still cash. Like Higbee's not going to burn you. His target share might go up with Kupp if he's hobbled at all. And if God forbid Kupp gets hurt and he can't finish, Higbee's going to get over 10 targets with or without Kupp. And then Godwin, like you guys said, they're going to be passing a ton. They can't run the ball much right now. So he's going to get it. His passing prop is 270. Outside of Herbert,
sorry.
Can
I cut you off real quick? Second highest passing prop on the slate. So
yeah. And I want to actually, if I had more courage, I'd want to actually bet the under on Herbert because I don't think he throws for 288. I think that's a little bit high too.
I hate it. I bet it, but I bet it at 282 and somehow went up to 286. So I'm not chasing the bad number. Again, I spoke about how my model's 20 yards off that prop. So yeah. I think I'm probably wrong. I just may have got that game wrong in the simulations. But yeah, Brady's going to throw it 45 times. So hopefully he can complete passes. He's certainly a landmine. He hasn't looked good in a long time. He hasn't played well this year. Mike Evans is dropping balls left and right. Godwin is going to see some Jalen Ramsey too. So it's not like anybody's a smash play. I prefer Evans. I just can't really afford him in many lineups. So my main lineup, I think, is a double stack right now of Evans and Godwin. Because you know where the ball's going there. I'm not playing Kate Otten or anything like that, but Higbee's a fantastic running back against this Tampa Bay secondary without Winfield too. So I think this game's sneaky shootout because like Dave said, they can't run the ball. So when's the clock going to run? It's going to be passing, and I think there's a lot of game to be played and a lot of big plays to be made too. But who knows? Brady's old, hasn't looked good.
For the Rams, who is? I really it wouldn't matter. Like I don't even want anybody.
Yeah, Vegas doesn't even know. I looked last night. They didn't even put a rushing prop. They have a 0.5 rushing prop on Stafford, and they have Fournette, and they have no running back for.
It's gonna be Akers. Watch, it's gonna be Akers. It's gonna go for like 80, and everybody's gonna be like, "I told you," but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm out.
Yeah, Brian, I see your question. Lenny's going to be unowned, but let's do our wrap up here. Everybody could throw their hat in the ring. Favorite cash quarterback on the slate? I will go with Josh Allen.
Yeah, if I had to pick somebody different, I would think Josh Allen is. Look, he's in blowout, non-blowouts. He's going to go get you 25, 30. There's enough value on the slate to go out there and get that. If not, slide down to Kyler Murray if you want like $1,100 discount on DK. And on FanDuel, I think you said it's Stix. Aaron Rodgers probably too cheap as well.
Dave, I agree with both. Favorite cash quarterback?
Yeah, cash quarterback. My favorite is probably Allen. You just can't go wrong there. You're gonna have to fit in some cheap options at other places, but you're getting your 25. So it's Allen for me. Favorite cash quarterback.
GPPs. I'm going to go. We talked about Tom Brady enough, so I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, for me, I think it's still Kyler Murray. Rushing upside. I think with the $1,100 discount, you can probably still get your 25, 30 to kind of match Josh Allen if he has that game. If it's not Kyler Murray, take a shot on Geno, or maybe even if you want to go deep down, someone that we haven't mentioned. Don't be shocked if Derek Carr goes out there and throws for 300 and it's not Josh Jacobs for 1 week.
Yeah, for me, it's still – I think Fields is still good in GPPs, but I'm going to say Kirk Cousins. We talked about him earlier, one of the higher pass numbers on the slate today. And I just think it's a good game script against a bad – you already talked about Stix. Washington has nobody in the defensive backfield. They're pulling people off the practice squad. So I think Cousins could really blow this one up.
Let's do it. I like that. All right, running backs. Give me 2 cash running backs. I will go – I think we're probably all going to say the same too is Etienne and Stevenson. That's the ownership right now. Don't reinvent the wheel. Play those 2 in cash.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm not even going to try it. And just to add to that point, play 3 running backs in cash. I'm playing 3 running backs in GPPs. Play 3 running backs in cash. If lineup construction works in your favor and you can get up to Aaron Jones, he'd be my 3rd guy. If you can't, and lineup construction, needs a little bit cheaper option, I think Kenneth Walker is fine, or Josh Jacobs also fine. Not really on Mixon, but even if you want to go cheaper, Deontay Foreman, cash, go 3 running backs though on both FanDuel and DraftKings.
All right, Dave, GPP running back, who is it?
You're gonna have to pay up, but I mean, it is Aaron Jones. Eckler's right there too. I think both are great. I think you can stack with the tier 1 running back today in GPP. So either one, I don't think you go wrong with. But if I had to put one in the bucket, it's Aaron Jones.
My turn, Sticks. I'm looking at ownership right now on the optimizer. Stevenson's coming up top, ATN second, Aaron Jones third. So if we're talking, a little bit lower ownership here, I think Eckler is still fine. A lot of people are going to be going to Palmer or Carter, who's confirmed active, or possibly even Everett here. So, and there's so many cheap options at running back that I think Eckler comes in a little bit lower owned. So give me Eckler. Outside of Eckler, I think Mozart a little bit. There's a little bit.
Damn it, that's what I was going to say.
I really don't. I'll let you have
it. It's a one
it.
guy answer. One guy.
I don't feel good about it. You can have it, man. I don't even feel great about that. But I guess GPPs. Jamal Williams as well. If he finds his way in the end zone two more times, yeah, you can have Mozart, bro. Talk Mozart up.
It's just Raheem Mostert. Bears defense is terrible. He's going to do what Tony Pollard did to him last week, and there you go. 5% ownership, Raheem Mostert. I'm playing him over Stevenson and GPPs, and we'll see. So my day will be done around 3 o'clock, depending on how Stevenson does. Or I guess it could be done at 1 o'clock if Stevenson goes off early and Mostert's a dud. You know how my day went. Wide receivers, cash wide receivers. We'll go 2. I'm going to go with Josh Palmer and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Dave, you go next.
Yeah, cash. I'm actually going to go Scary Terry.
Love that.
I think I'm going to go Mike Evans that I bought up. I think, like you said, it's tough to go all the way to Mike Evans and a lot of GPPs if I'm going to pay up for Jones or Eckler. So I'll go Mike Evans and Scary Terry in cash.
That's 6. This is your model right here, man. So you're the man behind this. I sorted by value as far as wide receivers go. So talk about it for a second. How do you come to these numbers, and how do you factor this in when you're making your lineups?
Well, how do I come to the numbers? Well, I spend 40 hours a week trying to simulate the games and looking up coverage and all that. But yeah, Godwin grades out fantastic. He is in my cash game lineup, so the other two. So there you go. Zay Jones, I don't know. He's super popular too, 10% ownership. I think you could play him in cash. I just don't love it that some days it's 2 targets, some days it's 8. Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk are certainly his guys. But I want some upside. So when I make my cash game lineup, I want some sort of wide receiver 1, if not 2 of them. So I love that Dave's taking the value in Terry McLaurin. If you sort by value again, Jay, you see that Terry McLaurin certainly pretty high up there. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, his ownership just kept going so high, so I'm fine just taking that in cash. I think a couple people, maybe it was Big Theo in here, said that he's fading Amon-Ra in GPPs. I think that's fine. Anybody that's 20% owned, you have warrant to fade. And then Chris Godwin was the highest value on the board, and he's, I don't know, would you say he's a wide receiver 1? It's kind of like 1A, 1B in Evans and Godwin.
He's wide receiver 1
between
the 20s. He's wide receiver 1. Once you get to the red zone, he might be like 1A.
Yeah, or 1B. Yeah, 1B because it's all Evans there. And then I just took the value in Josh Palmer because he is the wide receiver 1. So it kind of checks my boxes of I want as much wide receiver 1s as I can in cash. So value matters. So I couldn't afford McLaurin anymore. He was locked in all week, but now he's a core play for me in GPP because that ownership is so damn low. So I'm going to take the 15% own Palmer in cash, fade him in GPPs, and just go find a way up to Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I think it's super important to understand what Stix just said. When you're looking at the projection model, you can sort by value, you can sort by projections, but in your cash game, I want 3 running backs that we know are going to get the boatload of the offense, all the touches, and I want 3 wide receiver 1s if possible. I'll take a chance at tight end because there's more variance there at tight end. Get somebody with somewhat of a safe floor that's involved, that's going to be on the field. You don't really lose or win your cash games with your tight ends, but you will win or lose with your wide receivers and running backs. So like that breakdown, Stix, flip it to tight ends, man. I'll pull up the screen here so we can kind of check out what you got going on. We got Evan Ingram popping as the best value here, but who made it into your cash?
Evan Ingram for cash and GPP and Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee. Yep. Now the ownership right now, guys, is strictly on Tanyan and Foster Moreau. So, I mean, Higbee's getting popular, but it's not that high of an ownership projection anymore. So, yeah, Ingram and Higbee for me, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way, but I'm going to add Robert Tanyan in. I think everybody for GPPs are going to go to Dobbs and Lazard. So Tanyan kind of be the odd man out. But I think Higbee's probably going to be in a smash spot here. If they're going to be playing up pace or playing from behind and Cooper Kupp's at all hobbled, I will have some Cooper Kupp exposure because the guy's a beast. but I think Higbee is super safe whether or not he plays. And Kupp might be out there as a decoy, which means Higbee even more in play. I'm assuming, Sticks, there's no Allen Robinson for you anywhere in any of your 150 lineups, right?
No, I only play Allen Robinson against man coverage. Tampa Bay doesn't do it. It's all cover 3, cover 4. That is Kupp and Higbee all day. And they blitz, and that's advantage Higbee as well. Higbee checks every box for me.
Everett's not bad for me, too. I'll throw it in there. Priced up, so I think his ownership will be down. I think for GPPs, I wouldn't be shocked if he catches, 6 balls for 80 and a touchdown, and everybody's on the wrong side of, this game. Look, Herbert's number keeps going up. I think it's going to go under the 288 passing props, but if he's throwing the ball for 275 yards, it can't all be to Josh Palmer and Austin Eckler. So Everett's probably the number 1 target in his offense. He might get more looks than Palmer in this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
For me, a tight end and cash, I'm with you guys with Higbee, but Moreau, I still can't get off, the steady target rate he should get today. Darren Waller just announced out, so you should see 6 to 8 targets, and that's good enough for me at 3,200 to be a solid cash play.
All right. Well, there you have it. Appreciate you guys hopping on. I love the 3-way. That was a good time. If you guys got any questions, hit us up on Discord or Twitter for the next couple minutes. And good luck. Go Trevor Lawrence. Go Tom Brady. Go whoever else you guys are on. Just Mostert, get in the box, kid. Just hang in there with Stevenson. That's all.
Sticks, you got one defense for these guys? Who do you got the most exposure to defensively? I kind of scattered it out in my my 100 lineups, but Panthers, I think they're fine. One thing I'll point out too, even though I'm not all in on the Washington defense, if Chase Young is back and Kirk Cousins really can't take pressure, they bring pressure to him. I also think Washington is in a decent spot. If you got a punt defense, you don't want to go with Carolina. I don't mind that play. If you can pay up, the Bills are going to they're going to embarrass Wilson more than he's ever been embarrassed in his life. So if you can pay up there, that's why I'm going up top. But Sticks, any other Ds you like?
Yeah, a great way to get different is paying up for defense. I think the Bills are foolproof. They're going to get you 10 points. I like the Packers a ton just because I'm fading that passing situation. I don't think Rodgers needs to throw a ton. I think the Packers will whoop their ass, and it's Aaron Jones and probably some A.J. Dillon in there, but 1% owned on the Packers D against Jared Goff all day. And then, the Panthers are my punt D, unfortunately, just because Burrow takes so many sacks. I'm not playing the Commanders. I get it, but the Commanders secondary is just so bad. I can't do it.
Patriots D, if you can pay up to, you can't get to the Bills at $200. They embarrassed the rookie too, and they'll probably have a pick 6. They're ball hawks there. Belichick's going to get to this kid. So Patriots.
I like the Colts. I like the Colts at 2,700. That's a pretty good price.
I think Seattle might get some value to it, 2,500. Murray will put up yards, but who cares? He's going to turn it over at least once, get a couple sacks in there, might even give you a fumble for a touchdown. So value, I like Panthers, Seahawks. I'm with you guys up top. You can get the Bills, great, but Pats, I think, Jay, I'm with you on, and Packers.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Sticks, good luck. Dave, good luck. Good luck to everybody listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Great turnout today. Hop in an expert chat at Discord. Get access to Sticks model at windailysports.com. We're doing projections for every single sport. And, good luck. We'll be back for showdowns. We've had some takedowns and showdowns pretty much every single slate. So we'll be talking showdowns and expert chats, some NBA talk later on today as well. Stay tuned for more. We'll be with you every single day of the week, helping you out. And we're out of here today.